Mm. I love inviting in wholesome states when they're not there. But I have to say, I did not always love this practice. Um, and I think that's why it's become such an important practice for me, or such a teaching that I just hold so dear. Um, Other than it being like the key to unlocking stress and suffering. Like, it's such the heart of how to work with each part of the Eightfold Path, this teaching on effort. I think it really is the ground of the whole Eightfold Path. But this particular wise effort, or these particular last two, the inviting in what's helpful and what's wholesome, I think I said this maybe at one point, one of these Mondays, that I think for a lot of us, it's confusing. And if we've never really heard this teaching, or maybe like me, you heard it for like a decade, but it never it never really registered in some way. Like I think is part of how the Dharma works. Like we hear these teachings, the same simple teachings over and over and over, and we hear them when we hear them, right? Or they go into the heart when they do. And that's why it's so helpful to hear them repeated over and over and over. And my light bulb went off um, in a time when I think, I had a young kid and I was teaching full time, and it's like, it's a lot. And I was noticing that I had this sense of like, ugh, as I was before I went into doing like almost everything. Just like, I know I went off on a tangent about the dishes last week, but it was like this, not resentment, but just kind of like, I don't know, just a not seeing, just a dread, I guess, like a low grade dread. Like, okay, or the sense of I have to, right? Like, now I have to go teach. Now I have to go make the dinner. Now I have to go do bedtime. Now I have to go take a shower. Now, and this is one of the kinds of dukkha that the Buddha talked about. This is the last kind of dukkha, the sankhara dukkha, the dukkha that comes from the all that we have to do to stay alive. And at some point, I just finally saw it clearly, like, wow, all of these things that I have. And I use the word dread very lightly. Like it was just like a really subtle dread, like I have to, instead of like a being grateful, basically. And I really started to see it. And I remember, I can, even in my mind's eye, remember the one moment that I really saw it. I'm approaching everything in my life with this sense of I have to, and I don't want to live this way. And I had a strong practice. I was a Dharma teacher, but it was just so subtle. Like from the outside or from the inside, I would think like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm not really suffering, but it was just this really subtle. I have to. And as a part of my investigation at that time, I could really see that I had taken this idea of being with things as they are. Like I wasn't truly understanding what that meant. And I know I talked about that a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but I think it's easy to misinterpret this teaching of be here now or being with things as they are as this like static thing. If there's a low grade dread here, then that's what's here. If there's a sense of resentment, that's what's here. And I just have to like be with that. And it's just a misunderstanding of what the Buddha really taught, which was that being with things as they are is actually more of a dance. And it's right here for us in these four wise efforts. It's like part of being with things as they are means we invite in really helpful things to help us be with things as they are. And as we do that, inviting in helpful things to help us be with things as they are, they let go. And then there are wholesome things here. And then we dance with that and we invite those to grow. So it's actually this like, I think I was also thinking of that image that the Buddha uses of being a sculptor of our mind, like a potter. And that image came to mind in my meditation this morning because I am a potter. And I was just thinking about how, or, I strive to be a potter more, but I like pottery. I go to pottery class. And that if any of you have ever used the wheel, you know how both beautiful and frustrating it is to touch the clay and it just goes, it just it just moves so quickly. And that's how the mind is too. We offer it something and it goes in that direction. So if we're offering it more aversion, it runs with it. This is actually great news though, because it means if we offer it a moment of patience or a moment of ease or a moment of metta, it goes with it. It really does. The mind, this is awesome. This is so awesome. It means the more we can remember to invite in what's beautiful, the more the mind's just going to do it. It's going to go there. It's going to go in that direction. And so really saw that for myself, that I believed that gratitude was only genuine if it arose all on its own. And then I could be with it. Then I could be with things as they are, but it had to arise out of its own grace, if you will, or whatever. And I saw this was just such a misunderstanding that it could really, really be invited in when it wasn't there. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of talk about gratitude for a minute. And I think last time we talked about how um, we can look to the four foundations of mindfulness, in particular, working with these two lists of the hindrances and the seven factors of awakening. And this is a great further journey for practice. I won't get into it so much right now, but looking to see if there's a hindrance here, and then looking to this list of the seven factors of awakening. And these are sort of the keys or the clay or our materials to work with to help us be with. These are the wholesome states to invite in: mindfulness, curiosity, energy, calm, samadhi. Yeah, Jay, good. Have a beautiful, peaceful day. Nice to be with you. And equanimity and all of the Brahma Viharas. There's so many things, but these are the stuff of the wholesome states. And so I was remembering, I don't know how much I've talked about it in this group, but every other group I'm talking about someone who has become a great teacher of mine in recent days. And it's actually it's a poet, spoken word poet, Andrea Gibson. And I'm going to say it again if I haven't said it every time here, but come see me in the good light on Apple TV if you haven't seen it yet. This amazing artist who died this summer had this real awakening experience when they received their cancer diagnosis. They were a very fearful person their whole life, very fearful person, like next level panic attack. Anyway, they said that right before they got their cancer diagnosis, they were asked to write this newsletter on Substack, which was called Things That Don't Suck, which is basically like looking for the good, you know, in a world where we're bombarded with everything that's awful. Like what happens when we look for the good? Like what happened when you turned your awareness to the monks this week and let that be your news? Did any of you do that? Yeah, that's a way of looking for the good. That's a way of looking for what doesn't suck. That's happening right now. Um, and they described sort of the moment they got this real bad news, like it's going to be cancer, it's going to be a journey, and it's not looking good. And they said, "Oh no, I have to write this. I agreed. I'm contracted to write this newsletter of what doesn't suck." And they were just like, "How am I going to do that?" And then like I think literally a minute later, they said, "Oh, this is the perfect time to write this newsletter. This is the perfect time to be every week putting out writing content, looking for the good, looking for the good." And interesting part of the story is that their wife is also a writer, Meg Fally, and she took up this Substack, Things That Don't Suck, after Andrea died, and she said, I'm grieving the loss of my partner right now. I thought, oh no, I have to write this looking for the good. And then they too said, oh, yeah, this is probably the perfect time to be writing this as I'm grieving the loss of my beloved. And so in looking for the good or inviting in what's wholesome, it doesn't work if it's trying to get rid of the pain or to get rid of the aversion or trying to get rid of anything that's unwholesome. And so if we are trying to invite in what's beautiful and wholesome and we have this sense it's not working, nothing in my practice is working, it's a great sign. It's helpful information to see that whatever we're doing to get rid of something that we don't want to be here. This is a really, really, really helpful thing to see. Have any of you been there? I notice it all the time. It catches me all the time. And whenever I finally catch it, I feel so glad to see, oh, actually, I was trying to use this to push this away. And so, like the first wholesome state to invite in before gratitude, before metta, before anything else is just this sense of allowing. It's like this. It is hard right now. There is anxiety right now. And the allowing is stopping the pushing away, stopping the aversion, and it's also stopping the feeding with that we do with all of the thinking, all of the stories that the hindrances tell. This is mindfulness, seeing clearly what's happening and allowing it. And sometimes that's all we need to see that and allow it. And just in that itself, we start to feel relief from the craving and aversion. And that might be all that we really need. But then that will start to grow wholesome states when we feel that sense of relief. And then we can bring the fourth wise effort. Okay, there's a sense of relief here. And when we notice, there's a sense of relief here, I'm free from the push and pull with this experience, then we might notice curiosity arising, or we might notice all on its own that there's appreciation or gratitude arising. And then we can ride the thermals of those wholesome states, grow them, grow them, grow them.